So in March of 2024, the U.S. financial regulator, the CFTC, took a formal vote. And what they adopted wasn't written by a bank or a law firm or a government agency. It was a rule book handed to them by a nonprofit most people in crypto have never even heard of. No token, no coin, no ticker to trade. Just 500 of the biggest institutions on Earth, quietly agreeing on how this whole industry should work. It was dreamed up at a dinner on Richard Branson's private island, and today its CEO sits in the rooms where Wall Street and Washington decide the rules. This is GBBC 101, the most powerful organization in crypto that almost nobody can name. So let's go back to where this starts, because honestly, the origin story is half the fun. Picture late 2016. A group of blockchain pioneers gathered on Necker Island. Yeah, Richard Branson's actual private island, for one of Bitfury's blockchain summits. And over those dinners, a problem keeps coming up. Crypto back then had a serious trust gap. Regulators didn't understand it. Big institutions were scared of it. And there was, in their own words, a real dearth of honest, readable information about what this technology could actually do. So a few weeks later, in January 2017, they took that idea to the one place every finance minister and bank CEO on Earth shows up, the World Economic Forum in Davos. And right there, the Global Blockchain Business Council was born, founded by the Bitfury Group alongside the international law firm Covington. Now here's the part I want you to sit with. They could have launched a token. Everybody else was. Instead, they chose to be a neutral, non-profit council. No coin, nothing to pump, nothing to sell. Just a fair broker in the middle of the room. And that one decision, to be the Switzerland of crypto instead of another competitor, is the whole reason regulators ever started picking up the phone. Now, every organization like this lives or dies on who's running it. And this is where it gets genuinely impressive. The CEO is Sandra Ro, who took the seat in 2018 after being a founding board member. But forget the title for a second and look at her resume, because it's wild. Before GBBC, she ran digitization at CME Group, the giant Chicago derivatives exchange. And her team there didn't just talk about crypto, they built the plumbing. The CME Bitcoin reference rate, the first regulated Bitcoin futures, even a gold-backed digital token with Britain's Royal Mint. She holds some of the earliest patents in the space. Before that, derivatives banker at Morgan Stanley and Deutsche Bank in London, Yale degree, London Business School MBA. So this is not a crypto influencer. This is a Wall Street insider who helped institutionalize Bitcoin itself. And that's exactly why, in 2023, the CFTC, a top U.S. markets regulator, appointed her to its Digital Asset Markets subcommittee, where she co-chairs the work on taxonomy and tokenization. Under her, GBBC has grown past 500 institutional members and over 280 ambassadors across more than 120 jurisdictions. That's not a club. That's a global network with someone at the top who's done the actual work. Okay, but let's ask the skeptical question, because I would. Is this just a fancy networking group throwing nice parties at Davos? So I went looking for what they actually produce, and the answer surprised me. GBBC has quietly become a roll-up of crypto's rulebooks. Their flagship is the GSMI, the Global Standards Mapping Initiative. And the easiest way to picture it is, it's the map of all the maps. It tracks the rules and standards across more than 200 jurisdictions, over 100 standards bodies, hundreds of taxonomy terms, all in one place, free to download. Then, instead of just writing reports, they absorbed the serious technical groups. They took in the InterWork Alliance, which built a common language for describing tokens. They folded in BITA, the supply chain standards group backed by names like FedEx and UPS. They run a post-trade group that meets monthly with central banks, and a UK arm, GBBC Digital Finance, that writes codes of conduct for crypto firms. They even publish a free legal journal written by actual lawyers. And the whole thing runs on member dues. No token, nothing to sell. Now, the fair caveat, because we keep it honest here, a lot of this is soft infrastructure. Maps, voluntary codes, working groups. It's not flashy. But that quiet plumbing turns out to be exactly what the people in charge were desperate for. So here's where that quiet plumbing pays off. And honestly, it's the beat that made me want to do this video. Remember that CFTC subcommittee Sandra Ro sits on? In March of 2024, GBBC brought its digital asset classification taxonomy, a clean way to sort what's a commodity, what's a security, what's something else, to that committee. And the regulators voted to adopt it. Let that land. A U.S. financial regulator took a nonprofit's homework and made it official. That's the difference between lobbying and being trusted. And it keeps going. When Congress passed the Genius Act for stablecoins last year, GBBC was right there in the implementation, filing formal comments with the Treasury and the OCC. Ro's out on Bloomberg breaking down the next big bill, the Clarity Act. And late last year, they earned formal liaison status at the ISO, the international body that sets global standards for everything from screw threads to now, blockchain. Then look at right now, 2026. In April, they launched Phase 2 of a capital markets risk framework with a who's who of finance, the World Bank, DTCC, Euroclear, Ripple. They signed with Qatar's Financial Center, ran their 9th straight year at Davos, opened a free public regulatory resource hub, and showed up at Japan FinTech Week and the governance meetings in Tokyo. When everyone from the World Bank to a Gulf state is in your working groups, you're not the sideshow anymore. You're the table. So where is all of this heading? Toward the two biggest stories in tech right now: tokenization and AI. On tokenization, taking real things like bonds, funds, even real estate, and putting them on a blockchain. GBBC runs a standing research track inside GSMI, plus a whole handbook of real-world use cases. Because here's the thing, if banks are going to move trillions of dollars of assets onto these rails, somebody neutral has to agree on how it's done. That's the job they've given themselves. And then there's AI. They publish a dedicated report on the convergence of blockchain and artificial intelligence, co-chaired with the law firm Latham and Watkins, and partnered with responsible AI groups to tackle the question of the decade. When AI agents start acting on their own, how do you prove what an AI did, where its data came from, that it can be trusted? Blockchain, a permanent verifiable record, turns out to be a natural answer, and GBBC wants to help write the standard for it. Their phrase for the whole philosophy is lovely: compliance by design. Bake the rules in from the start instead of bolting them on after something breaks. So the through line, from a dinner on Necker Island to AI governance in 2026, is the same. Be the neutral grown-up in the room and let everyone else build on the trust you create. So here's my honest takeaway. Everyone watches the tokens, but the real power sits with whoever gets to write the standards. And quietly, that's GBBC. They don't have a coin for you to buy, and that's exactly the point. This is about knowledge, not speculation. So here's the action item, totally free. Go to gbbc.io and pull down a GSMI report. It's genuinely the cleanest map of global crypto rules you'll find anywhere. Read an issue of their International Journal of Blockchain Law. Browse the new Regulatory Resource Hub, because if you understand the rules before everyone else does, you understand where this whole space is heading. Watch what gets standardized, not just what gets hyped. If you got something out of this, a like and a subscribe genuinely helps the channel grow. And tell me below, should a neutral nonprofit be the one writing crypto's rulebook? Or does that job belong somewhere else? I read every single comment. See you in the next one.